Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. I haven't done a video in a while where I just start talking before I have like all of my ideas in place. So this could be a trip down lane to the old days of the channel of Summa Tangentum, Summa Triggerum, Summa Spoilerum. But I've been thinking all week about Batman and Superman eventually going into the public domain, and Popeye and Mickey Mouse, which I heard about this, and I'm thinking about this because of your boy Zach's channel talking about this. And he sort of joked about doing a Popeye strip as a gag, but I love the Popeye character, and I would actually be really stoked to do some old like newspaper strip characters because I'm kind of a weirdo where I actually really respect and really love the newspaper strip genre. I think people completely underestimate the importance of that for the rise of the American comic. But basically, I have zero experience in trademark law or copyright law. So, not a law student, not a lawyer. Don't take anything I have to say about the law seriously. But I'm thinking about the problem of trademark for these characters and ways to get around that. And it's kind of been funny because your boy Zach has clearly been like thinking in real time about the problems of actually trying to publish a Superman or Batman comic, even if the characters are public domain. So I want to kind of like pitch an idea for you about what you could do, what Zach could do, and what maybe I could do, and maybe how to think about how to approach these characters as they enter the public domain. So as I understand it, the trademark issue is basically a separate issue from the copyright issue, where if you could imagine if the creator of Robin Hood came up with a logo for Robin Hood and was able to get that trademarked, then sure, Robin Hood would enter the public domain, but that trademark wouldn't, because that would basically be the corporate logo for the company that spawned out of the creation of Robin Hood. And that would suck because maybe people would identify that symbol with Robin Hood, but you wouldn't be able to use it because a trademark isn't like a copyrighted speech or idea. A trademark is more like a stamp of approval, where that's what identifies the company. The trademarked Pepsi logo identifies the Pepsi brand. You don't get to use that because if you did, people would think that your garbage soda you made in the basement was made by Pepsi, and it'd be like deceptive, right? That's my general layman, not a lawyer's understanding of trademark law. So the problem for a character like Superman or Batman is they have the giant S or they have the giant bat symbol on their chest. And that's a big part of their design. But if that symbol is trademarked, you probably don't get to use that. Maybe that's the problem. I don't really know. So let's assume that I'm not allowed to use the name Batman or show the Superman or either the name Superman or the Superman logo on the cover of the comic. So maybe one way around this is, okay, I don't get to call it that. Maybe I can call it Man of Tomorrow or Last Son of Krypton, something that isn't copyrighted or trademarked, and call my Superman book that. And then just make sure that the symbol doesn't show on the cover, right? And then maybe I could just put whatever I want on the inside. That's kind of what DC Comics has had to do with Captain Marvel for a while. Real Captain Marvel, they'll call the book Shazam. They've even tested out having the character's name be Shazam. I think that's what they call him in the movie. But in the book, they could call him Captain Marvel because they weren't using the trademark name Captain Marvel on the cover of the book. The other possibility is maybe Marvel and DC can stop you from using these trademarks. So if the bat symbol is trademarked, it doesn't matter if Batman throwing a batarang is in the public domain. The batarang looks like his bat symbol, and they own the trademark on that. I think that's kind of bunk. I would be okay seeing laws passed that would liberalize this stuff, but whatever the reality would have to be, I'm actually going to try to teach myself some trademark law. Maybe I can do some instructive videos on this if I teach myself some of the ins and outs of this stuff. But the basic problem is it's not really clear when these characters enter the public domain, what all toys you get to play with, essentially. Like, obviously a character like Robin or Joker doesn't enter the public domain until their cycle comes up. But can you tell deep stories with 1940s Batman that are informed by, the history of the character without actually using any public domain archetypes? Can you cite ideas that later authors came up with, even if, could you make a Frank Miller style Batman with the public domain Batman character? Or are Frank Miller's contributions to the Batman character, are those considered separate from the Batman character? So there's like all these big fat questions that I don't have answers to yet. So here's my proposal. So my proposal is what I plan to do anyway is years before they enter the public domain, I'm going to prepare to do books for the ideas that enter the public domain, because I really want to write Batman stories. I really want to write Superman stories. I like to own them. If possible, I'd like to print them. So my strategy is I will look at each year kind of as a whole and look at the building blocks I have to work with. So I'm going to forget about like Frank Miller Batman. I'm going to forget about 1960s Batman. I'm just going to look at Batman for like the first year of Batman's publication when that enters the public domain. And then I'm going to work with those building blocks to tell my kind of Batman stories, and maybe add some of my own original characters and original ideas to it. Now, maybe that's enough. Maybe you don't need to like draw from later history of Batman to tell these stories, because you've already got some building blocks. You've got your own creativity. You've got your own ideas. There's so many unlimited potentials. Like, obviously, you could redraw these stories in a nicer modern style or a manga style if you wanted. I'd want to add a bit more creativity to it than that. But you could tell in-between stories of what Batman's escapades were between these issues. You could say, like, I don't know, detective, whatever the numbers are, Action Comics 1.5 between the two issues. You could do like totally out of this world takes on the characters and just use these building blocks as a starting point. But my proposal is maybe as a go around for the trademark problem is do two versions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish fan comics for free on the internet, because for me it's important that people read it, that I build an audience, and that I get people interested in buying the comics that I actually can sell. So I might post a Batman or Superman comic that I've written with the intention of dealing with a public domain character, not using any of the non-public domain elements. And I'll just make the comic normal for the first draft. So I'll draw, Batman's symbol on his chest. I'll draw Superman's symbol on his chest. And later, if I find out I can't have the symbol on their chest for some reason, because that's considered trademarked, and that's different than the copyright and the public domain stuff, then what I'll do is I'll censor that and release a trademark law friendly version as the version I can actually sell. And that's really the whole idea. That's what I wanted to get across. So my approach, with zero knowledge of trademark law and copyright law, is make the comic the way I want to at first, figure out what is potentially risky trademark-wise, remove that, and then publish the trademark-safe version with whoever's brave enough to publish it. If your boy Zach will publish it, then I'll publish it with him. If others like Dynamite are interested in starting to take on these characters because they're really interested in public domain characters, maybe there's a way that can work out. But I don't think that... Zach's kind of made the point that when these characters enter the public domain, it's going to be kind of like Sherlock Holmes, where everybody gets to do their riff on Sherlock Holmes. He's one of the great detective characters of all time, because we used to have a sane public domain system where after such and such time, you got to play with the characters. And we haven't been able to play with these really old, really interesting superhero characters because Mickey Mouse. Okay. Years ago, Zach did a video about how, for boomers, Mickey Mouse was an adventure character. Like, he would go, exploring lost temples, and he would get depressed, and he'd want to kill himself because Minnie was dating someone else, because they used to treat Mickey Mouse as generic adventure dude. And then when he becomes corporate logo guy, he's got to be really safe and really friendly. Once in a while, they'll let some animators do something a little risky or a little offbeat with Mickey Mouse, but mostly they want Mickey Mouse to be kind of really nice and clean and corporate. And I'm telling you, I'm going to start doing my own research into the public domain, kind of paralleling your boy Zach's. I'm going to start looking into some of the classic newspaper strip characters, because you'd be surprised how influential some of them are. Like Popeye, there's a reason Popeye resonated with pretty much my entire grandpa's generation saw them, especially the Navy guys who went to World War II. They saw themselves in Popeye. And I think there's a lot of untapped potential there that would be an absolute thrill to tackle. I'm not going to tackle every public domain character. I think you have to tackle characters you actually care about. So for me, Mickey Mouse, Batman, Superman, and Popeye are the four characters I'd be most excited to work with. If I discover a really interesting character with some untapped potential, maybe I'll do some comics with them. But I will give you updates as I start raiding the public domain for inspiration and ideas. So that's all. If you do something interesting with a public domain character, let me know. I'm interested in it. Check out my fairy tale videos. Those are public domain. You want to make a comic out of one of my crazy Japanese fairy tales, go for it. It's not mine. It's why I check out the public domain. It's because it's everybody's. All right, that's it. Tangents completed. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Thanks to my subscribers on Subscribestar. Thanks to Seven Barth, my new subscriber. You rock. It's the best way to support this channel. I don't know if Jordan Peterson's Patreon alternative is ever going to materialize, so Subscribestar is the #1 way to support #1 Marmaduke fan. Love you. Catch you later.